stomach again. Right, back in the dining room. Cat's going bonkers at the moment. What are you doing? I don't know, cats. Anyway, right. This one, this particular little bit, I want to make about lighting the house, because I've got to the point where I need to think about putting in some kind of lighting system. Okay, but just quickly, shop front. Done that. Been there. That's it there. Okay. So it's actually looking through the window, it's a clock shop. Clockworks it's called, very clever. There ain't that many clock shops around anymore, are there? There are all these fancy blooming jewellery things selling watches that go on your wrist the size of a grandfather clock, you know what I mean? Anyway, that apart, what we've done, or the cat's decided to come up on the table, right, is to do some interior stuff, okay? So on the bottom there, you've got 2 grandfather clocks and a chest of drawers. And on the first and second floor, we've got some paintings. The shop will not be lit, but the 2 rooms here, we'll put lights in those. Alright? And also I've put the partition in here, as you can see. Okay. Now when you put that partition in, make sure that it falls between the 2 front doors. Alright. Otherwise it's going to look rather odd. So that when you put the front on of the shop, you will not be able to see the through the window. You know, you won't be able to see the end of the partition. So make sure it comes directly between these 2 doors. So that's that. I'm not doing the, not putting lights on the top story, because as you can see from here, it's actually empty. It's to let. That's clever, wasn't it? So, the lights. I have a lighting box, well, a box which has got lights in it, basically, and it's, I think it's used to be for a bottle of port. It's a nice wooden box, Taylor's. I think that's port, isn't it? And in here we've got a multitude of different LEDs. I always use LEDs, okay? So these are little kind of round LEDs. We've been through that before, haven't we? And then we've got sort of lamps like that, which are lampposts, it says, okay? Well, there's a difference between lampposts and then there's station, that was the cat, station lights and yard lights, okay? So there's all sorts of different designs. These are lampposts as well, so they're kind of doubles, aren't they? Alright, they're kind of doubles. Now they come with resistors, as you can see. There's a pack of resistors there, but they're not soldered on. These, however, the first lot I showed you, come with resistors, but they're actually soldered on. So they're ready to go on 12 volts, because the LEDs themselves are only 3 volts apiece. We've got all sorts in here, all different shapes and sizes. But the ones that I'm going to put in the houses are these little doofers here, okay? So they're little LEDs on a strip. You can either buy a strip, or I think from those people, or 5 metres or 10 metres on a roll, okay? They're not expensive, and they come, they're 12 volt. Ready. You can either light up the whole strip. You just want to, I'll put some in my camper van actually, under the window. Yeah, massive great strip of them. Shove the 12 volts on one end. That's a lovely little, it's better than those horrible lights that you get sometimes in old camper vans. So I've used those there, and I've got lots of them left, and this is what we do. Now, what I'll do is I'll go into, obviously we have to solder the wires onto these. So I'm just going to switch myself off, and then we'll have a lamp on. We'll have the camera looking at what, how these things actually work. Right, so just bear with me a minute whilst I faff about the camera. Right, let me just show you the strip a little bit closer up, okay? Now you can see the LED lights, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay. Now between each set of 3 LEDs, 1, 2, 3, there's 2 copper strips. Alright, then you get the next set of 3, 2, 3, and there's 2 copper strips. And it goes on, alright. It also has a little resistor, just there, that little black spot. It's not a fly, that's a resistor, okay. So what we can do is we can connect the positive and negative, obviously, to these copper strips somehow. We'll solder them, and we'll do that in a minute, and see how it works out. Now I can put 12 volts on, or 9 volts in actual fact if I want to, because these things still work at 9 volts. I can put that on these copper strips, and it'll light up the whole of this strip. So always assuming that I've got the positive and negative round the right way, because they're not actually marked on here. Oh, by the way, there's a strip on the back which you peel off, which makes them self-adhesive. Okay, so I think that's the positive there. So if I just hold that on and then put the negative on there, there we go, we're all lit up. Alright, like Piccadilly Circus. Now, I don't want all that in my building, obviously. Not in this one anyway. So I want 3 of these here. Okay, I just want 3 of them. Now I notice that there's already been cut at this end. So I've got 2 half copper strips here, and then a full copper strip, and then a full copper strip. Now it's very easy to solder to full copper strips. Half copper strips are a bit more difficult. Now this end hasn't got a copper strip, so that's going to need some copper strips. That is next one, that is, and okay, we've got 2 half, we've got two halves there, haven't we? Okay, so what I can actually do is to cut this not halfway through here, because there's no need to have copper strips each end, is there? If I was to cut it this side of those 2 copper strips, I'd have one set of 3 LEDs with half coppers, which I can solder to. The next set of LEDs will have, if I do the same here, whole copper strips. Alright, next set of LEDs will have whole copper strips, and carry on, and yeah, they've all got full copper strips, see? So if you look at it that way, if it makes life easier for you, don't cut these things in half unless it's absolutely necessary. Cut off one section with 3 LEDs on it and the whole of the copper strip. As I say, it makes life a little bit easier when you're soldering. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut these off here. All right, cut them off just there, and then we'll try the voltage on those 3, see how it goes. Right, done that, been there. I still can't remember which way around positive and negative are on here, so we'll have a go. We'll have a look. Okay, so we've got a full copper. Oh, yeah, there you go. Alright, so that's, I can't remember how many volts I got on that at the moment, but I think that's, let me just have a look at my little machine. Right, that says that's 9 volts, I think, so we can cut it down a bit perhaps, see if it works. And now we need a few more volts than that, whatever that was. Let's have a look at this one. Yep, okay, that's alright. That's about, I'll have a look in a tick and tell you how many volts that is. But it's far less glaring, isn't it? It's not Piccadilly Circus, is it? Alright. So, what we have to do next is to solder a couple of wires to this. We're going to make sure, obviously, that the strip fits inside quite neatly the building that we've got. Alright, now it'll go on the roof, on the ceiling rather, okay, of one of these. So that's okay. That fits quite neatly there. Alright, underneath, and it will stick on there. And then we'll have another one underneath there, because as I said, we're lighting 2 rooms this time. Now the one thing that we've got to consider is where the wires are going to go, okay? Now because these are low relief buildings, alright, what I'll do is I'll take the wires out the back, alright, dead easy. If they were a whole building, as it were, in the middle of the layout, it would look a bit odd if it had wires coming out the back, which then you have to consider putting them down through the floor, through the baseboard, okay, and then connecting them underneath the baseboard. These that come out of the back will actually go down through the baseboard, but you won't see any wires at all, apart from the little, well, they'll be hidden anyway. I'll drill a little hole in the back, in that little corner up there, or that little corner, depends, okay. Drill a little hole, and we'll take both the wires out the back. Make sure you've got enough lead at the back to join them up, because you don't want to go having to join every individual one afterwards. It's better if you join them up as a block, as it were. So this one, perhaps the house next to it and the house next to it, there's 3 of them. The wires that come out of the back of the 3 of them will all be joined with one connector, so that all you have to do is boff one wire through the baseboard and connect it to the connector. Right, so we'll stop there for a minute whilst I get my soldering kit in good form, find some wires, and we'll do a bit of soldering. Back in a truss.